And what's going on? This is Dad. What? It's the Dad Podcast. We're checking in. We got exclusive. We got Coach Dunbar. Little man's gonna go run do his Fortnite like he does on a snow day. But make sure you do your spelling work. I don't have homework. You always got homework. But before you go, you got any questions you want to ask? What is gonna be my 2 picks? I don't know. So he does his weekly picks each week for football. So he wants to know, should he go Chiefs or should he go Bucks on Sunday?
I'm going Chiefs. I think when you got elite players and you got elite coaches, man, that's hard to stop with what Kansas City does on offense and the players they have. You know, I just think it's gonna be. I think it's impossible to stop that offense, man. It's like you can't shut it down. All you can really do is try to contain a little bit.
Yeah, he's going Pat Mahomes.
Okay. Bye.
That's what it does. All right. Well, as you see, this is Coach Dunbar and Coach Stanley. And like I've been saying, every interview we've had so far, everyone's had a different reason why I brought them on. And the reason why I bring this person on right here is, if you don't know, if you're not paying attention, the coaching scene in football is drastically changing. It's getting younger, and it's going to people who are making an impact. And not only does he coach at the high school level with his own team, but he's coaching and giving back to a lot of the youth and his programs that he runs. And I'm still remember when I was away in the military, I'm sitting there looking back and I'm paying attention to the stats and I'm seeing what LaSalle's doing, what Hendricken doing. I'm hearing about this quarterback, defensive back over at St. Ray's, who's bringing and putting St. Ray's back on the map. And I ain't never seen a quarterback probably drop back about maybe throw 6 passes in a game, but have about 300 yards rushing.
Yeah.
So I had to check back home with my boys and say, yo, who's this dude? He goes, yo, he's the truth. And then to come to find out, he played for the Intruders where, I started my football days.
Okay, I didn't know that.
More, and I'm like,
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's what's up. I didn't know you played for the Intruders.
Oh, yeah, we're going over with Coach Ty, Coach Stevens, Coach Nato, and then Coach Melissa. So, I had them all. But it was crazy, like, just being away in the military and hearing your numbers. I'm like, St. Ray's is back on the map. And then afterwards, when you went to junior college and they come back, and all of a sudden, popping up at URI.
Yeah.
So I'm like, your footprint's been all over football, and now I see what you're doing now with your academy, what you're doing with your programs, and now I got you, congratulations again before we begin. Congratulations with Westerly, man.
Appreciate it, bro.
Big opportunity there.
Yeah.
And it had me doing a little research. I didn't even know the history, how far back Westerly football went.
Yeah, it goes back to like the late 1800s, man. It's crazy.
It is, and I'm saying that when you say state championships in Rhode Island, they got 16 of them if you go all the way back.
Yeah, so I'm like, yep.
So it's a big one.
I ain't got none though, so you feel me? That's what's up. I'm happy. I'm going to a program that got the history, but I'm trying to come in and build off of that history. But I think we got to get back to that point. We haven't won a state championship since 2001. So like, all these kids that I'm training that are on my team, none of these guys were even alive when they won their last state championship, man. So, that's definitely a goal of mine. Obviously, you want to come in, you want to have an impact on the kids, you want to do the right things. But, at the end of the day, when you're competing and you're in a competitive sport, that championship is always a goal.
Doesn't that just sound crazy, though? In 2001, these kids weren't even alive.
Nah, it's crazy. Talking about how I'm 30, man. So for me, like, I can remember being like 2001. Like, that wasn't that long ago for me. You know what I mean? Like, it was a long time ago, but it's like I still have those memories, man. But it's crazy that these kids are like, they're so young, man, and they weren't even alive at that point.
Yeah, like 2001. I was still at LaSalle, but that's when I joined the military.
Okay.
Right after 9/11, and coaching at LaSalle, and I talked to some of the players, and they were asking like, "Were you alive during 9/11?" I was like, "Alive? That was."
Everybody remembers where they were like that day, man. That's crazy. Everybody has that memory of like where they was.
But like going back to the days at St. Ray's, man, what was that like being that dual threat on both sides and just playing for? To me, like growing up, St. Ray's was more of a basketball program.
Yeah.
Basketball and baseball with Sorrentine over there.
Yep.
What was it like putting the football program on the map?
So, man, for me, it's like, I think coming up, like when I was in 6th grade, like middle school, like the goal was always LaSalle. Like when I was in middle school, like coming up, that's when like Lorenzo Perry, Charlie Gibbs, Lamb Cohen, that's when all those guys were kind of dominating at LaSalle. So like, and that's when they used to play the state championship on Cox 3 back in the days.
Yeah.
So like, I remember growing up watching those games on Cox 3, and like I was always like, man, like I want to go to LaSalle. And I went to Bishop McVinney in South Providence.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah. So I didn't really like coming up, man. To be honest with you, man, I didn't have the academic piece. Like I was never like a bad kid, like a troublemaker, but I just wasn't focused on school at the time. You know, growing up in the inner city, man, it's like, you know, education isn't always pushed upon us. You know what I mean? That's something that, you know, we thinking about sports, we thinking about entertainment and stuff like that. So I guess I was a product of that, you know, as a kid, just my focus was completely on sports. You know what I mean? And like I wasn't being rude or disrespectful, but I just wasn't doing my work. So I actually didn't get into LaSalle. Like I applied and took the test to LaSalle, Hendrick, and I didn't get accepted. And my mom actually sent me to live with my uncle in Tennessee my freshman year of high school.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I went and lived in Tennessee my freshman year and like got to see what football was like down south. You know what I mean? And that was crazy because when I was a freshman, man, like we had classes in the school called weightlifting. So like all freshman football players during the school day, like, you know, like how people have gym, like instead of gym, it'd be like a weightlifting elective where like all athletes and stuff will go to the weight room. So like I got, you know, gotten like having the opportunity to see close personal. I was like, man, like get see like guess what big time high school football is like, and being able to compete down there, like I was a starter. And when I told my coach I was moving back to Rhode Island, like him and his family actually offered for me to move in with him and his wife. Like he was like a young guy that just got married. Like he tried to basically like kind of like adopt me almost to like stay with him, whatever. But like my mind was set. But like, you know, going down there just gave me like another confidence. Like, you know, being from Rhode Island and they talk about down south football. Like I was one of the best kids on my freshman team, and that kind of just boosted my confidence of like, yo, if I can play down here, I can play anywhere. So like when I came back up to Rhode Island, you know, a lot of my friends were basketball players. Like growing up, like I had more, I would say more growing up in Providence, you know, everybody plays basketball. So I had more kids around me that was playing basketball, and I was going to St. Ray's. So, you know, when I moved back, I was kind of like, you know what, like, I'd rather just go be with my boys and go to Saints. And, you know, that was that. I knew they were Division I. As long as I knew they were competing at the highest level, I didn't really care whether, you know, they were the big name or not.
Yeah, and it's crazy because my nephew was at St. Ray's. He went there for basketball.
What's
and
his
he
name?
just, what's that?
What's his name?
It's Wade Winfield.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he was there. He was there last year, and then they dropped out of D1.
Yeah.
So he ended up leaving, and he went over to East Providence now.
Yeah, he wanted to play in the D1 league.
Yeah, he wanted to play in D1, and they got Ruben over there coaching, Ruben Gossas.
Okay. Yep.
And he was trying to convince him to stay, but, you know, for paying the money and it not being D1.
Yeah, that's crazy. Basketball used to be crazy, man.
Oh, that's when they had. I remember when they was watching them when they had
Ubi over there.
Oh yeah, Ubi too from the Intruders.
Yeah. Ubi, remember his name for sure.
Now, when you was at Bishop McVinney, was you there with Emery?
Emery's actually my cousin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Emery Outland, he's actually my cousin, but yeah, he's older than me.
Yeah, he was another amazing athlete.
Yeah, I mean Bishop McVinney, I would say if we talk in schools, man, Bishop McVinney produced a lot of athletes in Rhode Island, man. If you really look at it, like there's a lot of guys that came out of Bishop McVinney.
And then, so when you went Pop Warner doing the Intruders, what coaches did you have over there?
So there was a coach. His name was Rodney Bustello.
Yep. Coach Rodney.
I played for Rodney. I played for the late Gary Correa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played for Gary. I would say those were the two, man. I never got to play with Ty because Ty was always coaching like the A team, the varsity team, and like I never played varsity, like because I had a late birthday. My birthday's August 23rd, so like I was always able to play. Like that final year, I was able to play down. So like when I was in 8th grade, I was playing JV still.
Gotcha.
And then I went straight to freshman football in high school.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see how the field looks now. That field's unbelievable.
Oh, man. I was actually over there the other day, man. It's crazy. That used to be the worst field in the state, probably.
Yeah.
And now we got the best field, so it's crazy.
And it's too. And now the Intruders, they're not part of, well, they still have their Pop Warner team, but they're doing independent too.
Yeah. It's crazy nowadays, man. Like when we was growing up, it was just Pop Warner and preteen, from what I remember.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now it's like all kinds of leagues, travel teams, and stuff like that, which I guess is good because kids are playing more football. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's so many more teams and stuff nowadays too, man. It's crazy.
Now, can you coach at that level, or are you strictly high school?
So I would say I probably don't have the time to like really
Yeah.
commit to coaching at that level as far as like with a team. But going forward with what I do with Breakthrough Football Academy, I definitely want to start training some middle schools, like some clinics specifically for that middle school age group. I think it's in a age group well. Sixth through eighth grade is like getting those kids familiar with what they're going to be asked to do at the high school level. I probably won't go any younger than middle school when it comes to like big group stuff. Like if there's like a kid who's like in fourth or fifth grade, and I'll probably train him individually if he's like a kid that's advanced. But as far as like doing big camps, clinics, and stuff like that, I really focus most of my energy on the high school level. But I also want to do some stuff with middle school kids.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on that. So, can you explain a little more about the Breakthrough Academy?
Yeah, so Breakthrough Football Academy, I started it in 2017, and really like my vision with it is to just take advantage of the off season. Up here in Rhode Island, like we don't have the luxury of having spring football like states like Georgia, Florida, Texas, all those places. They get an opportunity to play spring football. Our kids just play football, during the fall football season. So
Yeah.
I think for our kids to be able to compete, because they're competing against kids from Florida, Georgia, and all these other states for scholarships. And
Mhm.
so my thing is I want to be able to help those kids develop on a year-round basis, when they're not with their high school football coaches during the season and the off season, that they're still getting those drills, they're still getting an opportunity to compete and to get better. So, that's really my vision with it, is to take advantage of that off season and help kids develop on a year-round basis and also get exposure. We actually have a 7-on-7 football team as well. And we're planning on competing on a national level, visiting different colleges, going to different camps, and just getting kids from Rhode Island and really Massachusetts, New England, getting these kids from this region, all around throughout the nation, getting them in front of coaches and getting them opportunities to compete, as well as, meet coaches and potentially, hopefully get scholarship offers or even just get onto college rosters.
I know, like right now, they Mount Hope has the Breakthrough Academy. Well, I mean, was it Beyond the Pads, BTP?
Yeah. They
And
actually
they've
have some
been
really
tra-
good players, man. They got some
and they,
talent over there.
they did the NFL over the weekend. And I
That's
know
good.
one of the coaches, Coach Nadine Robinson, does a great thing with the kids there.
Mhm.
He had posted about how they're getting a lot of kickback about doing 5-on-5 and 7-on-7s, and it was a back and forth. What's your view on between 5-on-5, 7-on-7s as helping the kid through tackle?
Got you. So I think at the youth level, I think flag football is good. You know what I mean? I think it teaches the way football is kind of going now. It's becoming a game that's played in space. Football is
Hmm.
not the old school football where it's power I wing T and you got nine guys in the box. Teams are spreading it out. And I think with the flag football, the only thing that I would say with flag football is that some of the concepts that are ran in
Yeah,
flag, because it's 5-on-5, they aren't translatable to actual football. In the 7-on-7 game, it's a game that's played in space as well. But all the concepts is all it's all actual passing concepts that you'll see, on in tackle football. But it's
yeah.
just taking the lineman out of it. But I think having guys play in space, teaching guys how to catch the ball, throw the ball, make plays in space. I think that's important because that's where the game's going. The game's kind of becoming a game that's played on the perimeter and played in space. So I think having kids learn that at a young age is definitely beneficial.
Now, how is it like coaching for Westerly but training a lot of these other guys? It's gonna be weird seeing them on the field.
Oh no, man, I don't think so. I kind of, when I train all these other guys, man, I kind of see myself in these guys. I kind of
Hmm.
see it as, when I was 16, 17 years old, I was in the same position that they were in. And I wish I would have had somebody that kind of been through it, as far as a player goes, been through it as far as a coach goes, and can kind of guide them in the right direction. So no, it's never weird seeing these guys on the field. At the end of the day, we're all competitors. So I think when you see each other on the field, at the end of the day, they're trying to beat us. I'm trying to beat them, and I think that's understood. But at the end of the day, man, I want to see what's best for the kids from this region.
And it's crazy too. So, like when you were playing, you played both sides, going from quarterback to corner. And
Mhm.
to me, they have like probably the most different kind of personalities to be a quarterback and then go and be in the corner. Like, how was that adjusting, just going from playing quarterback on one side and being shut down corner on the other?
Yeah. Man, I was a running quarterback, bro. So I
Yeah.
was just trying to get out. I was just trying to get out of there. It wasn't, I guess I wasn't probably thinking as much as like guys that are trying to read coverages and stuff like that. I was, if my number one option wasn't open, I was tucking the ball and running. So, I was more so of the Lamar Jackson type rather than sitting in the pocket.
Now, when you started looking at colleges going forward, was it purely defense or was it offense too?
It was defense. I knew I was gonna play defense. When I moved to Tennessee, that's actually where they kind of taught me the technique, how to
Hmm.
play corner. Like the coaches down there in Tennessee really taught me the technique that I kind of took throughout high school. And then when I got to college, obviously like I was taught more, but those guys in Tennessee, they're the ones that kind of taught me like the technique of it, and it built my confidence as a corner. So like I was playing offense, but I always knew that at the college level, I would play cornerback. I think I probably could have translated to be a slot receiver.
Yeah.
With the skill set that I had, I think I could have been a slot receiver, but I knew I wasn't going to play quarterback in college.
And I see, your alma URI, they had a couple guys get picked up in the NFL. Man, how is that seeing their success now?
Man, I think the coaches over there right now, man, are doing a great job of recruiting talent. Like,
Hmm.
I think the talent that they have on the roster now, I don't think I've ever, in my lifetime, watching URI football, I don't think I've ever seen as much talent that they have on the field right now. And I think when they figure out how to get it to work together, I think they're going to be really special. But I think the program's definitely moving in the right direction. And I actually train some of those guys right now. But yeah, they have a lot of talent over there for sure.
Now you go back and check out any of their night games yet with the new lights over there?
I haven't, man. I kind of missed out on the one last year when they played Delaware. I think it was, which was like an overtime game. But I definitely got to get over there sometime in the fall.
Man, it
If my
seems like
man Flanagan's watching this, Coach Flanagan, I need you to hook me up with some tickets, man. Some field passes. I'm trying to go on the field.
that's what's up. Man, I see the intruders hooking their field up. St. Ray's is going in that direction.
Are they?
URI is doing their thing.
Saints is about to get turf.
What's that?
Saints is about to get turf.
Oh, Saints is going too?
No, I was asking you. I thought that's what you said.
Oh no, I was just saying all
Got you,
these.
got you.
Yeah, every time you leave somewhere, man, it's like they're getting better and better.
Hey, man. Hey, I don't know, bro.
And what was that? I know before you started at Westerly, man, you built up. You put Coventry. You was there for a short stint there. What was that like when you were having to leave there?
It was tough, man. I came into Coventry in 2018, 27 years old. I think I was probably the youngest head coach in the state at the time. When I took over, they were 0-11 the year before, the season before. And in my first year, we went 4-6. I was the Division 2B Coach of the Year in the division. Nice. And then my second year, we kind of, we were better, as far as talent goes. But I think the teams around us got better too. We went 3-7. And if there would have been a season in 2020, man, I really think that was supposed to be the year that we kind of took a step forward. I had a senior quarterback, Will Turner, who was a really good quarterback that we developed over the years, and I thought he was going to be probably one of the best quarterbacks in the state. And I think he'll show that this spring, when they have the spring season. But the program was moving in the right direction. The challenge at Coventry was just with the budget. I think every year there was, it was always talks about potentially cutting sports. And things of that nature. And I think when you're trying to build a program, man, it's so much with so much uncertainty. It was tough to kind of, think of it as a long-term destination when every other year they're kind of talking about potentially cutting the program. And this Westerly opportunity kind of just came out of nowhere. And at first, I wasn't really interested in it. But like you, when I started doing the research about like the program and finding out the history, man, I was like, man, like this is a lot of history here, and this might be a good spot, as I looked into it. And I took the interview, and it went well. And I was like, man, like this is just a hard opportunity to pass up. I feel like Westerly is one of the best jobs in the state when it comes to football. You got a good youth program, you got a lot of support at the school, and you got the kids in the school that are, you got the bodies, we got the athletes. So, I think when you put all those things together, Westerly is probably one of the, best jobs in the state.
Now, what's their youth program over there?
They're actually called the Westerly Bulldogs as well. So, but they play mostly in Connecticut. They don't really play Rhode Island. That's why. So they play out in Connecticut.
Now, what's going into it now? As far as their offense, now is that something you'll be running too, or you do have a coordinator?
I run the offense, but I have a defensive coordinator.
And hey, so what should we expect to see from Wesley's offense this year?
I think you can expect to see what you've seen from Westerly in the past is from an identity standpoint. As far as we want to be physically tough. I think we have probably one of the best offensive lines in the state. So we're going to be able to run the football. That's what we're going to hang our hat on is being able to run the ball, being physically tough. And I think you'll see a lot of different formations, and you'll just see. I would say we're going to be based off of just trying to run the ball and be physical up front, but also have the ability to do some other things.
Now, with you being like a running team, how we talked earlier about the league being all spaced out and spread with flying and 7-on-7, how is that adjusting being like as a coach going from a team that does a lot of spread to playing against a team like say Westerly that's gonna be pounded? How would that as a coach on the defensive side?
So what I think is like when people hear like spread, they kind of think like 10 personnel, which means there's one back on the field, no tight ends, and they think that you're just throwing the ball all over the place. But Wesley, we're going to be a spread team as well, but we're going to be a multiple spread. And what I mean by that is we're going to be able to have a tight end on the field. There'll be times where we have two backs in the backfield, and we're going to run the ball out of a spread offense. So we're not just going to run out of like under center power eye type stuff. We're going to run the ball out of a spread offense. So, spread can mean a lot of different things. It's a very broad term, but you can expect us to run the ball out of the spread. And from a defensive standpoint, I think, preparing for a team like us, because we're going to be multiple, from a formation standpoint, will look different each week based off of who we're playing. But we'll have the ability to run our base offense out of a lot of different formations.
Yeah, I know like Alabama uses that perfectly the way they spread out.
Yeah, and that's a team that I want to model like as a high school level. Obviously, Alabama got some freaks. But from a high school level, as far as like an identity standpoint, like Alabama's running the spread offense right now, but they're still a physical football team, and that's kind of what I want to be.
And it helps to have a running back like Najee Harris over there too.
Hey, we got some backs. I ain't gonna say no names. I'm gonna wait for the season, but we got some backs that I'm sure people will definitely be hearing about.
That's what's up. Now, you guys gonna play in the spring, or you just wait until the fall?
So the plan is to play in the spring. The league hasn't formally, came out with a schedule and stuff yet, but we're having like coaches meetings and stuff like that right now, with the Coaches Association, and the plan is to play in the spring. So as of right now, I'm preparing as if we're going to have a spring season.
Nice. And now, are you guys with D3 or D2?
We're D2.
D2, all right.
Yeah.
And now who's like the biggest competition for you guys this year?
Man, everybody on our schedule.
That's a tough.
Yeah, everybody on our schedule is the biggest competition.
And one thing I love about Rhode Island football, as far as the coaches, man, a lot of the coaches, they're all a close group and a close knit. Who's some coaches around Rhode Island giving you some advice?
There's guys that I talk to. I would say, man, Willie Edwards is my guy. You know what I mean? Definitely. That's kind of like my big brother in the coaching world. He's a mentor. He's somebody that I try to pattern myself after. Willie's, had a lot of success at Moses Brown. He's a hard worker. He's a guy that works. He puts the work in, and I think he kind of left a blueprint of how to run a successful football program. So, when it comes to guys that I talk to, as far as like that I look up to, I would say Willie Edwards is a guy. There's also some other great coaches in the state that I talk to. I talked to Charlie from Woonsocket. I talked to Mike Washington, who's the offensive coordinator at Central High School. I talked to Blake from Pilgrim. I talked to Rich from Cranston West. I would say those are the guys that I probably talk to the most.
It was nice. I seen a nice write-up about Willie with the LA Rams today.
Yeah,
I'm talking about his mentorship program.
Yeah, my man started, high school football in Rhode Island. Now he's even having an internship with the NFL team. That's a crazy come up. And that kind of just shows his work ethic, man, and how much time he puts into it and how committed he is to the game.
And it's good to see too, because I mentioned in the previous podcast about Liam having his success with the Rams, and now he's over at Kentucky.
Yeah.
Is your long-term goal? Is your long-term goal to be a coordinator somewhere, or what's your long-term goal as far as coaching?
Man, my long-term goal is to help the kids from Rhode Island, man. To be honest with you, that's my long-term goal, is to put Rhode Island football on the map, is to help kids, as many kids as I can from the state of Rhode Island, get opportunities to play at the next level, whether that's Division I, Division II, Division III, and to help kids from Rhode Island, develop as football players. As far as teaching them, I actually coached college ball in the past, so being able to teach them, the techniques and the skills that they need and help them develop to get to that level. So I would say that's my long-term goal is to pit on for Rhode Island football.
And it's great because I mean I see the program you're running, man. I see so many of these drills that these kids are running, and I don't know how some of the guys that you work with, have not gotten like the calls or the chances they've gotten at the next level. One off the bat that everyone mentions is Angel Sanchez.
Yeah.
His skill sets were unbelievable, and there's just so much talent in Rhode Island. What do you think the next move is to get them out there? I know your program is, but to give advice to someone at that level who's like kind of getting discouraged when you have somebody like him who doesn't get those looks, but keep on working.
I would say, first things first, man, you got to, when you're coming from Rhode Island, man, you got to check all the boxes. You know what I mean? Like when recruiting, a lot of college coaches, when you're coming from a state like Rhode Island, you have to check all the boxes. You got to have the academics. From a physical standpoint, you got to meet the criteria as far as what they're looking for from a height, weight, speed standpoint. And then when they put the film on, you got to be able to play. You know what I mean? So my advice to a kid that wants to play at the next level is first and foremost, take care of business in the classroom, because it doesn't matter how talented you are. You can be the best player in the world. If you don't qualify with the NCAA requirements, you're not going to have that opportunity to play at the next level. Then the next thing is, from a physical standpoint, make sure you get in with different coaches, different trainers that can help you to physically develop and, and then just doing the best you can with your high school team to make sure you got good film. But when you're coming from Rhode Island, man, you got to check all three boxes.
Now, do you recommend playing multiple sports?
I do. I played 3 sports coming up. I played football, basketball, like when I was growing up. Then when I got to high school, I started running track. And I think, multi-sport athletes are, some of the best athletes because some of those skills translate from sport to sport, especially when it comes to the skill players. You know what I mean? When it comes to the receivers, the DBs, I think those guys definitely want to be able, because it's all about athleticism. So you want to play as many sports as possible. And there's skills that translate with the linemen as well, as far as like wrestling and stuff like that, and even being mobile in like lacrosse or different sports. So yeah, I'm a big believer in playing multiple sports. Even though I coach a 7-on-7 team, we don't really try to conflict with high school sports at all.
Yeah, I know that's one of the big things with the spring is like the spring season with our football. It's going to kind of mix up with some of the kids playing basketball, some other sports now. Now, have you been able to start working out with your players, or are you just still waiting for?
So the only thing we can do right now is, and it's restricted, but we can have some kids in the weight room.
Yeah.
So that's what we've been focusing on is getting after it on the weight room. There's still some restrictions as far as what you can do on the field, but we've been in the weight room.
And I know that was like Rose. I can't think of her last name, but on the news had a nice little piece on you over at Westerly. And one thing she mentioned is the impact on your mom. But how's her impact on you as growing up, and even currently today? I know she's crazy proud of you, but what's her impact been on you?
I would say, man, just my mom is somebody that I know, like, when you know that your parent, like, and my mom's not perfect and my family's not perfect, but when you know that your parent kind of did the best that they could possibly do to put you in a situation to be successful, that's something that I can look back on and say, like, all right, man, I know that she did with the information that she had, with the resources that she had, she did her best possible job of putting me in situations where I can be successful. And I think as a parent, that's all you can do is to do your absolute best. And that's something that I can say that she did. So, my love and my relationship with my mom is through the roof.
Now, was it tough growing up with all sisters?
It was, but there's some age differences, and I think my sisters love me, so I don't know. You get a lot of love when you got a lot of sisters, but I was always playing sports, so I always had like guys around as well. I was always, I started playing football when I was 6 years old, so.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like my son, like he does martial arts, and so he went for his black belt on Friday. He has to wait till today to find out if he has it.
Oh wow!
So, and if you didn't make it,
nice black belt.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Yeah, don't mess with him.
Nah, Raph will tell you about him.
Don't mess with that guy, man. That's crazy.
And the crazy part is if you don't make it, they call you and tell you before they post it.
Yeah.
So every time my phone would ring, he's like looking to see if that's the call saying he didn't make it. But they're gonna post it later on today.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say, like, how is that as a coach when you have to, like, make those tough decisions on like playing wise and just being that like that role model for a lot of these kids. But how is it like? 'Cause I think it's 7-on-7. You're gonna have a certain amount of players on your team.
Yeah.
When you got to make that decision, how is that? How tough is that?
It's not easy, man. That's the thing with my 7-on-7 team. Even so, in the future, is we're gonna have multiple teams. So we'll have like an elite team, which is our top team. But I also want to be able to have other teams just to give kids opportunities. But as a coach, you're always gonna be put in situations where you got to make those tough decisions. And I think when guys know that you're fair, and I don't really play like a political game when it comes to like who I play. Like, like there might be kids that I love that don't play a lot, or a kid that, me and the kid might not have the greatest relationship, and he's playing, because obviously he's going to practice, he's doing what he has to do, but we might not have the best relationship off the field. So I think guys view you as fair. It's easier for them to be able to take that I guess rejection when they know that you're making the decision based off of what's fair and what's in the best interest of the team. I think guys can respect that, and at the end of the day, I think guys know. What I mean, where they are, like, guys that have some self-awareness, they'll know like if a kid is better than them or not. And when you make those decisions, I think if a kid has some self-awareness, he'll be able to accept it a little bit better.
Yeah, I had Coach Sim on. He's the hockey coach over at Cranston West.
Okay.
And he has a blog he does about mental health.
Okay.
And he was talking about, as a coach, one of the biggest things a coach is being not just a coach, but being sometimes a father figure, sometimes just an ear to talk on. And he was saying, especially now with like the social distancing and the being out of school, he's getting a lot of more kids coming to him with like advice outside of the sport. Like, how is that, you like being so young and closer to their age, but still being that figure when they come to advice? Like, how is that just like, how does that feel as like being that mentor role and a coach, man, at the same time?
Yeah, so for me, I think I operate in the football world, so a lot of times kids ask me, I would say more so about football related stuff. Yeah. But even so, it doesn't always have to do with, high school football. It may have to do with college football. It may have to do with, coach, like what's the best way for me to get recognized, or what's the best way for me to do that, or if they're having some problems at home, and I can kind of, bounce. Like I can kind of share my experiences with them. Being so close in age, I think guys kind of look at me and they'll say, all right, well, coach probably been through this. Sometimes when kids see like their parents or they see older people, it's hard for them to relate with those people, But for me, I guess being a younger guy and guys knowing that, I played the game as well. And I like to have fun with my guys, and I feel like I like to love my guys. That's my thing, is I want to have a relationship where I love my players and to have a good relationship with them. But at the same time, love isn't always just like a kumbaya type of thing. You might love somebody and have to discipline them. You know what I mean? But I'm always going to do what's in their best interest. But I would say, man, it's just being relatable to them. I think it makes guys open up to you a little bit more when you're relatable to them and they know that you care about them. It doesn't really matter what age you are. They'll be willing to open up and share some stuff with you.
Now, have you ever any players kind of forget that you played and want to test your speed?
I mean, nah, but I'm done, man. I'm not the coach that goes out there and tries to run routes and stuff anymore, man. I'm completely content with the way my football career went, and I'm good, man. I don't try to push it no more.
Now, as far as your 7-on-7s, what's the next event you got coming up?
So we're planning some stuff, man. I don't want to make any announcements right now at the moment, but we got some stuff that we're planning after the football, after the potential spring season. And just follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and we'll be posting out some stuff about what we got going on next. But I don't want to make any big announcements just yet.
You want to tell everyone where they can find you before we forget?
Yeah, so you guys can find me on Twitter mostly. It's at Coach Dunbar _. Also at Breakthrough FBA on Instagram and Twitter. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm not on any too much more.
Yeah, nice. So we're gonna wrap up. I'm gonna ask you a couple of rapid fire questions. And then the first one is one that my son does because he loves it about Fortnite. So you jump out of an airplane, you gotta survive on a desert island for 1 week. Who are you taking with you?
You kind of broke up a little bit, bro.
My fault. So you jump out of an airplane, and it's you and 5 people, and you gotta survive for 1 week. Who you taking? 5
people? All right. Well, there was a kid that I coached at Coventry. His name's Gavin Cooney.
Yeah.
He's kind of like an outdoorsy type of dude.
Hmm.
So if I gotta survive, I'm gonna have Gavin out there. I feel like Gavin will be able to kill something. I'm gonna have my man E-Man, Emmanuel Leak out there because he's a funny guy. He'll definitely keep the mood uh, nice and cool. Um, I have and then I just probably have my three nephews out there with me.
Nice, nice. Okay. And what's your go-to music you're listening to right now?
Go to music, man. I listen to a little bit of everything, man. When I'm working out and stuff like that, or when it's football related, I like to have some hip hop on. I'm a Christian, so like when I wake up in the morning, I'm trying to get my day started. I like to have some gospel music in my ear, just to, I guess, center me a little bit. I like some old school stuff, like some Anita Baker. Like I think I kind of got an old soul a little bit, so I like to listen to that old stuff, that Luther Vandross. So man,
Nice.
I'm all over the place when it comes to music, man.
All right, so if you could have it's you and four other people in a 5-on-5, all in your prime, five players you played with. Who's on your team?
5 players that I played with.
Yeah.
I gotta have my man Jordan Monk. I don't know if you know him, but he played at NC State. He was also me and him graduated together at St. Ray's. He was probably obviously
Okay.
the best receiver in the state at the time, and that's my guy. So I'd have him on the field. And honestly, man, if it came down to that, I'm gonna pick my '07, '08 St. Ray's teammates because we went undefeated, 13-0, and won the state championship. So I have my guy Gene Roussel, my guy Niall, and my boy Hans Hall from that team. So those would be my guys. We all graduated from St. Ray's and we won a state championship together. So I roll with those guys.
Nice. And your go-to meal?
Go-to meal. I would say I like to eat salmon, fish, and I'm pretty basic, man. Like some broccoli, some brown rice. Pretty
Nice.
basic, but I'm also Liberian. So my mom has a restaurant. It's called a Glorious West African Restaurant. When I go there, I like to eat some jollof rice. I'm a big jollof rice fan.
Now, is that local?
That's off Park and Elmwood. Yep, Park and Elmwood in
Oh,
Providence.
nice. All right. Gotta check that out, definitely.
Yep.
And then finally, I know you're a defensive back, and that's your specialty. If you gotta do your Mount Rushmore all-time defensive backs, you get five of them. Who are they?
I gotta go Dion, number
Yep.
one. For my era, Darrell Revis in his prime was one of the best, I think. So Darrell Revis. So you said defensive backs,
Defensive backs, yeah.
and then I'm gonna put Ed Reed on there. He's probably one of my favorite players of all time, Ed Reed. And let me see the fourth one. That's tough. That one's kind of up in the air.
Oh, you got two more. You got two more.
I got two more.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me think. Who's some good defensive backs out there that I really?
You heard me. You're missing one. You're missing one of them. Thinking.
Well, I hope you. Who you talking about? Gilmore or something?
No, I'm talking about Charles Woodson.
Okay. I mean, I wasn't huge on. Obviously, Charles is a great player, but I wasn't huge on. I'm gonna go with my man Will Blackman.
Okay.
He made it out, so I'll go with my man Will Blackman. And for the last one, let me see. Let me think. I'll go Champ Bailey for the last one.
Champ Bailey, nice.
Yeah.
And I know you touched on it. You touched on it earlier before I go. So you're saying you're going Chiefs Sunday?
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs, man. I think when you have elite players and elite coaching and an elite scheme, that offensive scheme is crazy. You got Pat Mahomes, you got Tyreek Hill, you got Mecole Hardman, you got Sammy Watkins, you got Travis Kelce. All those guys on the offensive side, man, it's like chess, man. All them pieces are guys that can. It's like you got a bunch of kings on your chessboard. You know what I mean? No pawns.
And then lastly, you want to leave everybody with a little bit of advice for especially these high school freshmen, sophomores going into their prime playing football. What's the best bit of advice you want to give them?
Take care of your academics, man. That's number one. If you don't have the grades, it doesn't matter how good you are. I know you think you're nice and you've been nice your whole life, but if you go to high school and you don't have the academics, it doesn't matter. So take care of your academics.
Thanks again, bro. I appreciate you coming on, and best of luck this year over at Westerly, man. Definitely have to check out a game. Just one was a little bit closer to Providence because that drive for Rhode Island is a long drive.
Yeah. We'll definitely, man. I'll let you know. I'll let you know for sure.
Yeah, definitely post that schedule. We'll be out there. Hopefully the fans can go this year. Hopefully the fans can get out there.
I don't know about the spring, but hopefully at least by the fall.
Yeah, definitely for the fall, we should have the fans out there. But I mean, even the spring, I know right now with the basketball.
I don't think there's gonna be any fans this spring besides like family members, maybe like close family and stuff like that.
I know with the spring for basketball, they've been streaming them on TV. They've been streaming them on the website.
Yeah, so I'm sure they'll be streamed though for sure, but I don't think
We'll definitely check them out though.
Yeah. All right, bro. Thank you, man. I
All right,
appreciate it.
best of luck, bro. Thank you.